Hello, anybody out there? Good morning. Or for me, good evening to others. Man, just went round and round with, let's see, changing out CB antenna. Caliber, sorry it's backwards there. That's the way it is when they have the camera reversed. I wish it would just have it correct, but anyway. Caliber KMAG 2 CB antenna, switched it out with the President model New Virginia antenna, which is about the same. It's a 18-inch rubber coated antenna, and it's supposed to be pre-tuned to be able to run routing for the coax all the way back to the back hatch and up to the roof. That way I used the extension cord, and what I found was with the extra extension on the cord, it wasn't keeping sine wave reflection low. Maybe there's something wrong with my extension coax, maybe it's pinched somewhere, or maybe it just wanted its certain length of RG174 coax that the antenna comes with these small antennas, for it to not have as much reflection back, sine wave reflection. Well, hey guys, thanks for being up. I hope you guys are having a good night. Let's see, are you talking about yourself? Just kidding. Talking about me having to install a different antenna for my CB in my car. Yeah, that KMAG, I was getting some reflection back on the meter on KMAG by Caliber. Sorry, I know it shows it reversed, like mirror to you guys. If I turn it back around, I can read it properly. But the Caliber KMAG 2, I put it on. It's a President Electronics fixed position or tilt on the angle of the magnet mount that the Stingered antenna comes off of, and it's supposed to be pre-tuned. Well, I haven't tried it again since changing this and changing the President twice with the way it hooks up and routing of the coax from the roof. This time I came down through my driver's door and down around the pushed it into the door seal over here, and I used my Anytone 5555N. It's had 11 meters unlocked, but so to tune it there, it has a built-in sine wave reflection meter on the readout on the face, so I'm going to put that video up when I get back. It's just like a 4 or 5 piece together part video, and so I have multiple that when I try to upload it from my phone, it just wants to put one of the videos, won't let me combine and add each of the segments that are separate video files together. So I need to put them in on my computer and put them all together. I don't have any video editing software to put those together and have one rendered video file to upload for YouTube, because it won't let me add a extra one. I haven't found the feature to be able to add multiple video files into one video. So sorry, I'll have to do that later in the morning when I get back home from driving Uber tonight. I had some problems with a friend of mine, needed me to be the delivery address for some lithium batteries he's getting for his solar setup, because he's a security guard and he has an RV that he stays on a site to live there, and that's how he gets his rent area for free, by being there and making a few rounds each day before and after he goes to work. So normally he goes to works for QT and works security, and then does security just to check out where he stays. at a park. So it's a park on a city where they teach kayaking, and it's right on the river. And since he doesn't have an actual address where he's at to mail it to, or his other address is in another city for receiving all his main mail, he wanted someone local to be able to have it shipped to. Well, he accidentally put the wrong lot number down. At least I was able to go get those batteries. So hopefully he can have them redirect any other shipment. I had to go to this other lot where it's sent to. The guy was cool. You know how some people are, it's delivered to their door, but really it's the wrong address where it's sent, even if it was a typo or screw up with the delivery company. Those people a lot of times are not honest, and they'll take those items. But this guy was upright, man. I left a note on the door. Evidently he was there. I was knocking on the front door, went around the back door where it showed the delivery be delivered to, because mobile homes with a detached garage, back door's close to the garage, a lot of times deliveries will be set out of the way so people don't steal them. But you use InShot app on your phone. InShot. Thank you. I'll take a look at that, Gen X. Hi there, Nasrat, Jahan, yeah, and Pat. Turn on the lights. Man, I got coffee teeth. I don't want to gross you out, man. Halloween, I'm set. All I gotta do is dress up the rest of my face. I can be a zombie, and I can have those dark teeth. I don't have to color my teeth for the part. So by having the light low, sorry, I'm just trying to keep people not so grossed out, because I drink a ton of coffee. Yes, I smoke cigarettes. See, I was tickling my little brother's feet today, but my mom told me to stop and wait until, oh my goodness. You too old for YouTube live. Yeah. I'm getting there. At least I gave myself a little beard trim. It was getting a little thick. So, gave myself a trim on the beard before getting out and going and messing with the riffraff with the misdelivered packages. At least I was able to get them, because that's, about $600 worth of lithium ion batteries from my friend he's getting to use for a solar setup. He's already got the charge controller and a couple big, two 200 watt 12 volt panels, and he has a Renogy charge controller, and he has a 48 volt to 120 volt inverter. But he needed those 4 100 amp batteries to at least even kick that on to power something. It's like a 3,000 watt inverter, or 5, I can't remember. But it's set up for just 48 volts, so got to run in series 4 12 volt batteries. So we got that. Oh no, listen to YouTube live for the young degenerate I'm stuttering there. You to wish for these people. Okay, Ferrari. A little bit over my head there on something, or I just don't have reference. Well, I guess it was the lithium batteries, or was it about the CB antenna? Switching that out on my car. Okay. You guys are funny. Anyway, sorry I get talking for about 10 or 15 minutes. I start losing my voice already. Maybe it's just partial allergies. Tis the season is cool, it's dry, and some of the cedar and jasper, I think it's still producing those dust clouds of pollen. So when we get winds, it gets blown all over. Well, 80s, yeah, but what are you getting into? Ham? GMRS? I got a couple FRS radios that I use just as backup for short range in a neighborhood. communication. So if I'm going out, if everything goes down again, the grid and other things like we had in Snowmageddon, February of 2021 here in Texas, man, if I have to get out to forage or do something outside and take them while still staying in contact with wife that is in the house, you know, and I have them in my Faraday container to be able to protect them from EMP and a good backup communication in case of that. CB radio is too. I use EMP shield surge protector on my car, the one that's meant for my vehicle. So everything is plugged in my car, such as CB. And same in the house with the RV plug-in. I have protected my base station and that whole face leg of the house that's plugged into, and other stuff on the other electronics on the other. I do have a Faraday type cage or box I have my backup generator in, so that helps in case of possible EMP. But yeah, I'm set for that, but I don't have a ton of fuel to run things forever, and I don't have a big solar setup because in this mobile home park, man, we rent the lot, we own the home, so we can't put a lot of things like frame for solar. Mobile homes aren't designed for the updraft currents that would catch the solar panels like sails, as far as code goes for mounting solar panels on the house. And unless we buy the garage from them, we cannot, which they'll let us do, which is just a structure but not the land, although it's on a fixed foundation. We can mount solar panels on it if we buy it. But yeah, it's just a hassle over here. I wish I had enough money to, move in the county somewhere just outside city lines. But here in the Austin, Texas area, seems like city of Austin and other surrounding municipalities, suburbs, are still growing and expanding, and they're gobbling up where people start to put houses on, and so they start being able to acquire extra land and houses being in their municipality and not just out where you're only having to deal with code compliance of county. So man, I don't know, it's going to be like in that movie Demolition Man, where all of California and many of the major cities just became all one major city metroplex, gobbled up together. It was like here in Central Texas, that's the way it's starting to look. Doesn't matter, you're going from one suburb to another, just like Dallas, Fort Worth area. It's just growing to where it's like one giant city or metroplex. And it's hard to get land out in the country without being like 2.5 hours away from a major municipality. I mean, that's what it takes to get out in the sticks and have some extra land that you can micro farm on. So I wish I could do that. Hello from Spain, Europe. Howdy, howdy. Well, 80s, back to before I kill it. Yes, it was. But there's a lot of new tech out there with citizen band radio. Even my President Electronics model Bill, it has a lot of features built in that you can adjust through menu. It has weather band radio. I mean, not weather, emergency band. No, it is weather. That's right, the weather channels. It's got that built in I can switch to, and a lot of features, but I have to access them through menu because there's not a lot of space on its chassis for a lot of buttons and manual switches. So it has small little buttons on the outside corners, and I swear you need a magnifying glass to read the font on the front of it because it's so small for those different features. But It is feature packed. It's only 4 inches by 4 inches by 1 inch tall. I mean, so it can fit in a little cubby of my console. And that helps. All these new cars don't leave a lot of space for mounting anything else on them. And even then, the door seals are so lined up so tight on tolerance that you almost need some of these new small antennas. The cable that they come with, that RG174, is really small, really thin coax on them, just to have it go through a door jamb. Otherwise, you use RG8 or RG8X or RG58. I mean, it's going to pinch the coax in the door where you put it through for the magnet mount antenna. Unless you got a hole you can drill to run and pipe the coax from the antenna in. Hi everyone, and dear uncle. Good drudge. People call me uncle now. Let's see, smart cities, yeah. 15 minutes is AI controlled, yeah, probably some parts. But I was just about to finally go online and start driving Uber. So I had to give you all a hello and a good wave out there. Yeah, still pumping in some coffee. Coffee. Give me some Army coffee. Stout. That, a little bit of nicotine to tighten the arteries, give a little better blood pressure, right? You know, put those paddles on my chest and say clear, and boom, kickstart my heart. Anybody else got questions on other prepping things, or just want to share in the chat for disaster preparedness? I know I'm going to need to learn to smoke something else or quit. Something that I can grow myself or quit, right? If you can't get cigarettes no more, it's going to be a hard forced detox off of that. Yeah, sort of like Devil Went Down to Georgia, huh? And Johnny rosined up his bow and played his fiddle hard. Oh, believe me, there's plenty of devils out there. Just not in the shape you think. A lot of people out there, they're just on a mental trip. Sort of like that one guy, of the two guys that picked up from bar in Round Rock on Uber and have to take him to Liberty Hill. And guy in the back right or mid right seat of my caravan, he proceeded to slide down his seat when all's quiet, just radio playing, and started kicking me in the back of the head. I'm doing 70 on the highway. Man, he just started bam, kicking me in the back of his head. His friend sitting behind me grabbed his leg and said, "What are you doing? Why are you kicking the driver in the head?" And he says, "Do what?" "I wouldn't do anything." "What?" Yeah, there's some people out there, I guess they even want death by Uber. Want me to have a wreck, have his family collect. But yeah, I do have it on video. I have it on a unlisted video. Let's see. Well, maybe Metallic Tech, maybe you have too much God's grace and hand on you that they won't. But if you invite them in to be them, that's a different story. Kids are sent off to mime school? Never to be heard from? That's unique. That's a new one I haven't heard. Let's see, KP. Greetings back, KP. How you doing? Yeah. Thanks for tuning in again and finding me on here, keeping me in notifications. I appreciate that. Ah, man. Feel like I've done a million things before getting out to work tonight. I had to go drive around the property to try to find others. They thought a shipment picture, my friend that was trying to deliver product for himself to me so I could hold and get to him. I know some of you heard it earlier, but yeah, I had to look around to see houses here in the area that would look like that on different lots that was in the picture, but I couldn't find it. Did find the one guy that had the battery shipped to him because he had a lot number. With that lot number, evidently something else was shipped there, and it was supposedly dropped off by delivery UPS. And they showed a picture, a very similar house as far as the front door goes, but with different doorsteps. And so yeah, even though my friend typoed on what lot number, they still sent it to the wrong one, not the typoed one that he would put in. Oh goodness. Some delivery drivers, I don't know, towards the end of their day, it's getting towards 8 p.m. It's getting late. You're just trying to hurry and get the last things out, and sometimes I can see them make mistakes, especially in a place like this. The house numbers, you can't really see them in the dark. So some of them don't really have a house number on there. You just have to have a map of the place and know that it's there, because they don't put it on their house or on a detached garage that they rent. I mean, you just have to know that in sequence, this house is, okay, it's that lot number via what numbers to the left, what numbers to the right of them. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm going to try out this new Virginia CB antenna by President Electronics. And actually, they say if you buy one of their antennas with one of their radios, they'll extend the warranty of your radio for an extra 3 years. So that's a neat thing about President Electronics. If you get one of their CB radios and one of their antennas to use with it, they'll extend the warranty on the radio that much longer. So was it like 1 year at the beginning, so you get like 4 years warranty? Heads up on that. That's a good deal. I don't think Cobra Electronics or Midland does that. Metallic Tech, you still talking about the devil? You ever seen The Water Boy, the movie? Football is for the devil. Foosball. My boy's not going to play with those gargantuans. I'm not sure. I mean, I may have heard a blackbird mating call, but I wouldn't recognize it as a mating call to another blackbird. I know they try to chirp out to find other birds. Maybe it's when one of those grackles is ruffling his feather and doing how it does when it starts barking out. Yo, Leroy, did I miss Leroy somewhere? Or are you saying a joke that I haven't heard before, so I don't know something? Don't know. Well, thank you guys for the likes. And thanks for hanging with me before I head out and start work on No, it's probably the end of your long day and you're staying up late. Or maybe it's the beginning. I don't know. Beginning? Right on. Me too, but I'm past midway into my waking hours. Just had too many chores and other things, favors to do for people. At least that was, driving Uber. I can sort of go online when I want to and I'm ready. That's nice. But you don't make all the money that you do. You get out what you put in. It's time spent. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but yeah, it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. A few. I think you just missed me talking a little bit ago about those guys that picked up in one town at a bar district and taking them to another suburb town, and one of the riders started kicking me in the back of the head when I'm doing 70 on the highway. We weren't really talking at that point. He just started doing it. It's like, I don't know, we're out of the blue. He was drunk and maybe on something, who knows. Finally got pulled over off the highway, let his friend that was sitting behind me take up for the situation, and finally kick his friend out of the car. Then we went on, proceeded to be able to take the Uber riders, the one that had the app on his phone, home. Evidently they'd known each other a long time, and the guy was just acting weird. He drew the attention off of me by telling him not to do that, stop doing that, and so his friend started hitting him. It was almost a fight in the back of the car, and a lot of drama and speech. On board, yeah, when riders with me, yeah. It's your birthday today. Can I get a shout out? Yes. Yes, thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Usually if you're here, I'll be able to put on London Symphony Choir's Happy Birthday by, what is her name? Medler? I'll go back to it. Let's see. There you go. JG Grooves. Mildred and Patty Hill with the London Symphony Choir. That's a great happy birthday one right there, man. Sounds majestic. So if you get a chance to listen, I won't be able to put it on for you because of copyright. I'm sorry about that. Happy birthday to you. You don't want to hear me sing I Turn Karaoke into Croaky. All right? Well, guys, I'm about to get running. I know I need to, leave that down for a moment. I'm going to need to go online, go 10-8 on Uber, and then see if I get any ride requests. Another rider friend already messaged me. It was a pretty darn slow day and evening out. So maybe other drivers have peeled off and I'll have less competition. Usually about this time I get people needing to go to work or get off from work, go home from whatever restaurant or business they work at. Sometimes change shifts, sometimes get off early, never know. I mean, that's from everything from Amazon distribution center or process center to FedEx to, I've even taken people to their job at UPS for overnight, where they help out with sorting and loading the trucks. And so yeah, they're people that get paid to work out. Moving, turning, twisting, stretching, stacking boxes. Oh my goodness. Imagine doing that continually all day. Yeah, I used to do that on tire deliveries while I worked at an auto shop. We sold tires, man. Big delivery truck come in with a whole 18-wheeler truck full of tires for us to stack in Western Auto. At least I was young and nimble. So yeah, I'd have to stack them big stacks and finally get them loaded up in the racks where the different sizes are listed to be, so they know what area, via their inventory set in the computer where it'd be at. And then they had me bust the tires, meaning install new tires on the cars. That and batteries. It's like, goodness. Wanted them cross-train me into more work, maybe some oil changes and doing more, and let me do that. No, they don't want to do that because other techs, man, they think you're gunning for their job and they're on a book hour, price pay. At least I was on hourly, but man, back then, almost 40 years ago, 39, 38 years ago, yeah, that was cheap pay on labor. Now, of course, Rich, I do have other people, riders, that I have stories about. And yeah, many a throw-up stories. As I've shown before, I always make sure I keep the medical emissaries bags on hand. Late night riders, they go out, they're out for leisure. They go drinking. I like to go offline about 10 minutes till 2 a.m. and not go back online till about 2:30 a.m. That way I missed all those ride requests that are getting kicked out of the bars at 2 a.m. in Texas because they have to stop serving alcohol in the bars at that point, so they close. And there's those people, they get out, they get kicked out from there because they've been staying at the bar sucking up every last drop of alcohol they can before they leave. So yeah, that's not something I want. But I still keep the bags, man. I still keep them because, yeah, some people, when they get in the back of the car and they get moved around, their stomachs, their head's spinning a little bit from being dizzy, from being a little drunk. And then here come the numbers. Yeah, there's been nights I've had to clean off the backside of my head. Yep. Hey there, C. So yeah, it's one of those things as an Uber driver. Speaking of which, I'm gonna have to get out, get in the back hatch and bring up some fresh water for people. Sometimes that helps a few people. They were drunk before and then didn't have enough fluids after a while before they left this wherever they're at, and they're just really dehydrated. And sometimes that water helps and hydration helps a little bit. Dank, hey, I see we're closer to nuclear war than ever. You got that right. And is getting worse as far as the threats. You're right on that. I'm not sure if we can prep for the long term for what's coming. Instead, I think at best we can prep to live a few extra weeks and pray. Yeah, you got that right. Dank, you got that right. Totally right. And everybody's got to start somewhere. Unfortunately, these people in apartments going to have a hard time. If something goes down or a whole grid goes down, eventually the water's not going to be pumping up, to your house or residence, or if it's apartment, especially those high rises, man. Some have generators downtown, but that's not going to help run everything. It's not going to help run the water company and pressure in the faucet. They may have some reservoirs so it doesn't take as much pressure to get up and pumps inside building, but you're going to run out of water in the pipes if the water company's pumps are not moving. And then same with your natural gas, if they haven't put proper protections on all the equipment for them to stay supplied, and the refineries and all the delivery vehicles and everything. I mean, if there's like high altitude nuclear blast causing EMP, that's the easiest way to do it, to put us in the Stone Age because of our electronic frontier these days. Your vehicles have, computerized electronic fuel injection and its operation of different systems in the vehicle. That's why I use EMP Shield. And if you click on my main page, for my channel, you'll see some of the links in my information, and then also in some of my other videos about EMP or about EMP Shield. And plus, my discount code is the same as my title of my channel, but no spaces, all lower caps. The Simple Prepper will save you $50 off per surge protector unit from EMP Shield to protect things that are plugged into the same electrical system you hook it up with. And they make ones for cars. They make 37 different models to be able to use for a variety of products, even from small generators, your power banks, your inverter power banks, and then also wind and solar electric generation systems to protect charge controllers and these batteries, man. Well, these lithium ion batteries, all of them, they have a battery management system in there, and you need to protect it to be able to have power off the battery. It might go into default off mode, so to speak, if it messes up the systems within it, or it won't charge properly later. You got to protect those systems. Now in the car, on the 12 volt operated vehicles, they also have 24 volt and other voltage ones. Wow, here comes another truck. Man, this is like the 5th big truck. It's coming around. You'll see behind me through the rear view. It's one of those tank trucks on the back, but it's for sewer. And they're having to go around to the back of the property where our sewer treatment is. And they've been pumping and pumping and pumping. It's like, holy cow. Don't know why they would need that many trucks when I've only seen 1 or 2 in the past. It's almost like they're pumping out of there more than what's going in, because that big collection tank is not as big as all those trucks combined on volume. Yeah, weird stuff. What? Staying off the grid. Look at the... Why? What? Okay. Don't know what you guys are getting at. But yes, closer to World War III, that's for sure, and possible nuclear war. And we can protect with defense missiles to take out a lot of the ICBMs before they get down close enough in the atmosphere to the ground when they come back in. But that's the only thing, is those defense missiles, they're not really meant to intercept those ICBMs well before they come back down. And if they do high altitude nuclear blast, staying up 200 to 300 miles up, in space, they call that high altitude. But then the gamma rays from the burst are going to cause to free up electrons in the atmosphere that cause an EMP pulse, And if it's at 300 miles up, maximum effective diameter for EMP is nearly 3,000 miles. So one off of each coastline going straight up that they can't intercept and detonates way up there will blanket the entire country with probably a 30 to 50 kilovolts per meter or more EMP. They can take out a lot of sensitive components in electronics that are vital to things, you know. So EMP Shield has the more hardy surge protector. Siemens has one, the FS140 for electrical systems you hook in a breaker box. It can handle up to 140,000 amp line surge. EMP Shield surge protectors can handle up to 228,000 amp line surge. And they've been tested by Keystone compliance and far exceeded DoD's required specs for U.S. military use. That's why I have a contract. They have a contract with Air Force for sales on their product and DHS. And they sell to the public. It's like, holy cow. It's about $100 more than the Siemens model, but Siemens doesn't make models for everything almost. EMP Shield makes almost stuff to protect almost everything as far as electrical systems. A small handheld electronics, put them in a Faraday box, something good cookie tin. Popcorn tins are great. EMP weapon at 500 BPM. Are you talking about kilovolts, kVm per meter? No, Russia's boasted about 100 kilovolts per meter, and so is China. So EMP Shield, they did a test. Keystone Compliance did 40 repeated tests at 50 kilovolts per meter. That's the only one they show because of U.S. requirements is low. U.S. Compliance is off of old specs, really. But it's not 500 kilovolts per meter. They boasted about 100 kilovolts per meter. So, right after their first 40 repeated tests at 50 kilovolts per meter, they did, it's E1, 2, and 3 aspects of an EMP. They had Keystone Compliance do a test at the highest they could do it at. And the highest they could do it at was 90 kilovolts per meter. And on the same surge protectors, they did a repeated 40 test at 90 kilovolts per meter and passed above spec and no degradation still to the surge protection components. So and with being able to handle a line surge up to 228,000 amps, I think I can handle another 10 kVm, to match that 100 or even higher, or a lot higher, So they did have them test for 90 kilovolts per meter also on each of their product, including the antenna lightning / EMP surge protection arresters for radio operation. And that's the big thing U.S. military is using for being able to keep radio comms on the battlefield and protected. So that's why they use them. Even though U.S. military is using, no, that's not correct from what I've heard in multiple places. It may be, hey, Matthews, after this is over, because I need to get working on going to work online on Uber and Drive, if you can put in a comment with a link to where you found that about them saying 500 kilovolts per meter, that would be great. But last I heard in several places was Russia and China both boasting about a low kinetic yield but high gamma ray yield nuke that they could cause an EMP by high altitude nuclear blast, cause an EMP with an effect of up to 150 kilovolts per meter, at least within, what do they call it? The tighter area. The outskirts, further edges would not be affected as much as it bleeds off into where those electrons, are spreading out, but electrons are spreading out to other electron areas outside of that effective area. It really diminishes in its intensity, shall we say. Sorry, I'm at a lack for words, for simple words to use for that. I know there is some. Man. But closer in, you're going to have higher intensity areas where it's closer to, and further out, not so much, because maybe atmospheric obstruction a little bit, or just where there's not as much ionization already in the atmosphere. So daytime is going to be your higher effective time for them to try to do that. At nighttime, not so much, when the charge is dissipated in the atmosphere, because you can tell with the ham radio and 11 meters, CB, you're getting all these people shouting out from all over, up to 2/3 around the globe almost, usually a third, but from other countries to other states, because the ionization atmosphere causes it's like one of those round rubber dodgeballs you use and hit it against a cement wall so it bounces back, sort of like an atmosphere, the ionization in their charges do that and reflect the radio signal back down over the curvature of the Earth. And it's the same way with having line of sight from the gamma ray burst up in space to go down around the curvature of the Earth, so that it has a longer effective area. Because out in space, those gamma rays blast down, there's no obstruction in space, to where it then comes down the upper atmosphere where there's ionization, frees up those electrons into a pulse. So yeah, but as far as me, if I'm out and about, it's early morning, the sun's been up for an hour, I'm still driving, or I'm running errands. I want to be able to have my car still in operation, even if EMP would only affect 30 to 60% of cars. I don't want to be in that percentage. I want to be able to get home for sure, So, to my preps and my wife, and we do have preps for about a month as far as food, and water, but we really, and some electric, but that gives us time to get our mindset on what we're doing, how we're doing. Are we bugging out to my parents' ranch out of town? Are we able to stay? What's going on? We'll be able to see what's happening and know what to do. It gives us a little bit of time, where a lot of people, man, so many people, and these youngsters, bachelors, bachelorettes, and they have their own place, they got a job, but they don't stock a lot at home. Since just one, they don't cook a lot, so they don't stock a lot. They eat out a lot, eat cheap or whatever, or pre-prepared meals. And if they don't know how to cook something for a while, man, go fishing. It could be a bad scenario for them in less than a week. I mean, yeah. Just stop the yip yip. Hey, it's me, Gabe. Natura's 10. Well, what yip yip are you talking about? Someone on the chat or just me? And you may not even still be here. What's that hand? Talk to the hand. Oh, okay, gotcha. Someone in chat. Sorry, I was missing something there when I was yip yapping. Oh, as far as further up, probably. Yeah. Some of them probably tested me on specs on things, like some of the new threats on EMP, Russia and China, Russia super EMP weapon. I'd like to see the one, as far as someone boasting, or they're boasting, is 500 kVm, you know, kilovolts per meter. That's getting even higher voltage, man. It's almost like a Tesla battery. If you could put the voltage off into a short, several nanosecond blast, you know, 400 volts, but it had to be broadcast in air. And how you do that is just like off of a radio, you know, transmitter. But, you know, it'd take to be really strong to be able to do that, you know. But Mother Nature, man, you mess with Mother Nature, it's going to put it off. They'll put it out there. See, the people would empty all lakes, ponds, and rivers of fish within 3 days in a bug out scenario. Sadly, maybe. It depends where you live. If you're close to the ocean, be a lot of fish in there, but man, the ocean is filled. And some of these big lakes, you know, bigger lakes, there's a lot of fish in it. And not everybody knows how to fish. You got about 5 to 10% of people that probably go fishing or know how to fish, but they don't go. These days, we got too many city folk, and they're too tied up and wanting to learn stuff to work for a tech company, IT, computer programming. Now, my dad was a programmer, but he loved to hunt and fish. My father, man. And of course, he's prior service as well, you know, like me. But, you know, I grew up in a family that loved to go every weekend or freaking summer when us kids, my older brother and me, were out from school. So every weekend he was off from work, he loved going out camping. That was our entertainment for a weekend. We go away. And we go out to his cousin's property. 35 miles northwest of where we were living, or west northwest, and it was 1,200 acres, had a 7-acre stock pond. Excuse me, South San Gabriel River ran through it with 300 yards of dammed up water. It's about 13 feet deep when it's running good. And then deer on it. There's quail, ducks that would come to the ponds. You know, we caught some good catfish out of there and bass. And of course, there's plenty of perch. Plenty of perch, a line of trot line, you know. And of course, some big soft-shelled turtles. Anytime we saw them poke their heads up, we're always trying to shoot them because they would eat our fish off the, you know, lines and stuff that we set out. And we'd put big poles, almost like surf poles, cast it out in the middle of the stock tank, you know, pond, and trying to catch some of those big catfish that would bend our hook straight too. So, but if fish was on, we've had big hunks and whole halves of fish bitten off from those big soft shell turtles, because they were able to get the fish at that point. So, never had turtle soup, but those big of soft shell turtles probably would made plenty, because I'm talking about as big and round as I can put my arms out to only show a half circle of the whole circle of the size of that turtle, where the heads of those turtle were 2.5 size of my fist poking out of the water. They're big. They've been in there for a long time. And if we could have gotten one of those, we probably would have tried cooking it. But they kept on destroying the hooks too when they tried to go after the bait as well. And yeah, that was something else. Yeah, love the fish. Yeah, I need to restring my reels. Line's on it so old, I haven't gone fishing in so long, man. But I've done my share. It's just me working late nights, not being up in the daytime, you know. It's one of those things. Now, of course, I got neighbors here, a good network of friends that they love to hunt. They love to fish. Some of them love to sport kayak. kayak races on the water, excuse me, and other marathons. But yeah, a lot of them, they have their own, no, a couple of them have their own dojo. They teach, they instruct. And just like my neighbor over here right behind me, he's actually a judge for kids for seeing their katas and demonstrations, so he can grade them for advancement in their belt ranks of experience. He works for whatever same organization that Chuck Norris owns for Little League schools. But they also teach here at the university martial arts and defense classes. Him and his brother do. And then the other friend with the two friends with the dojo. One of them also does Uber driving too. He's the one who told me he was a little slow tonight. Messaged me, and he owns Defense Lab down in Kyle. And then there's Larry that owns Marshall Way Legacy, he calls it. Marshall Way Legacy. Not Academy anymore, or it may be Academy. I'm not sure on their DBA or how they have that listed there, but they're calling it Marshall Way Legacy on YouTube and Facebook. And he's one I'm hoping to get a live with or make a video with about different things for prepping and preparedness for self-defense, which he might know of different things, good advice to be able to tell you for either keeping yourself physically fit to other instruction you can see online and practice, or if you're in the local area, you can definitely go, and get in on some of the classes. He was turtle lover, okay. He said, let's stop here at the river. He caught a giant alligator turtle and made it a pet. Okay. Not sure you'll want to make too many turtles a pet, but yeah, it's something to take care of. But they'll live long, as long as they're stayed fed and they're in a good environment. They can make a good longevity pet. Old school martial arts will be rare to find nowadays. Yeah, old school style. Well, at least Larry St. Clair, he's close to my age, and he's been around for a little bit. I don't think he's ever served in the military to have any of that different training, but he does a lot of personal one-on-one instruction for individuals that are advancing into higher levels. And then even he has a grappling coach. I know Mark, this guy, has taught for decades now. He teaches other instructors like Larry, and I just don't get to see Mark that often. I think he has a standard job and then does private sessions. So better food in prep situation, really. They only get as big as their enclosure, and from what I've heard, tastes good. Yeah, I guess you have to learn how to prepare it just like anything. Like I've said, my wife does a wonderful venison stuffed backstrap, or stuffed venison backstrap. Gets silver skin off the amount that we're going to cook, however much you're going to cook for a little bit, and then cut it down the center to where it can still hinge back. Butterfly cut it open so it can hinge back, but she puts some raspberry jam, cream cheese, and a little bit of sriracha sauce to cut the sweet from the raspberry, and then puts it back together, fully weave wraps it in bacon in the oven for about 30 or 40 minutes. Man, that was the most tender venison I ever had, and rich tasting. I'd salt brine the major cuts on ice with salt for 72 hours, 3 days. And then we got the smaller butchering, and then a few days after that, she did some of the backstrap like that, and man, that was great. Well, as far as the enclosures, depending how good your whole yard is, you might be able to make a whole yard with a pond environment for them, for a turtle. Hopefully they can get big, but it may take a while to grow. May take a while. Other hand, snakes, man, they grow fast as long as you feed them, and they'll get out of its environment or cage if you don't have a good lid on it. You know. But yeah, I have had beer battered rattlesnake, grilled rattlesnake before, and that was good. It tastes almost like a cross between chicken and frog legs, or between fish, chicken, and frog legs is a fusion. Not bad. You just gotta know how to season it right, Sort of like rabbit. It's a little bland. Striper bass and white bass are a little bit bland. A little bit more earthy and sweeter, like your sunfish, perch, bluegill, largemouth black bass, catfish of different varieties have a more distinctive flavor. But stuff like the rabbits, the cottontails, jackrabbits, they're a little more bland. You'll want some seasoning. You'll want a little salt, pepper, a little garlic powder, and whatever other seasonings, whether it's sage, rosemary that you like using, however you know to season something well that's bland. Next we eat people pie. Well, some people, they farm rabbits as a backup, and they eat them on a regular basis and keep that rolling. It's sort of like having chickens, and they're laying eggs, but then you want to have a few chickens, separate cage with rooster, to be able to make more chickens. As long as you get those chicks separated from the roosters, so they're just laying eggs that aren't little chicks inside of it. Keep those separated on a regular basis and keep those raccoons out. Someone told me raccoon's pretty good. Other people tell me bear's good, sweet meat. But elk, they said they really loved elk the best. White-tailed deer, though, they're good. Antelope. I mean, shoot. Out in Lakeway around west side of Austin, man, they got a lot of white-tailed deer, man. They're freaking ornaments in people's lawns. They're lawn ornaments. You would think it's just someone's plastic thing that's sitting there laying, just watching traffic go by. You wouldn't know it's real except if you didn't look back and see its head turn and watching your car go by. It's funny. So a lot of them are pretty tamed at area. A ton of them, though. They've had to capture them and move them out to different counties because they've had too many. And so game management has had to do that in neighborhoods because they know they're not being hunted. And so they stay there and populate a lot. Sort of like feral pigs, wherever they can do it. And they're feral pigs, they can have up to 8 to 12 or more pups, piglets in one litter. And they can do that, once every about 7 months? So 6 to 8 months, they can have a big litter like that, I think. Caribou, best wild meat to eat. Okay. I think someone's mentioned that too about caribou. So yeah, I've already talked through being to the point where I go online to miss the bar rush. As far as the Uber request. See, would you make a tree grow or a Negro? You're funny. Not funny. Trees. One thing about the peach trees, man, they can handle the cold. but you got to keep them watered during the heat of summer if you have long summers. But they will survive in the cold. I had a young one in a sort of big pot that I planted and grew from a seed from a peach I'd bought at the store. Excuse me. And it made it through that snowmageddon. It made it through single-digit temperatures as a high in the daytime, even as colder at night. For a whole week, we had those single-digit temperatures right here in Austin. I thought it was going to be a goner and not come back. Just in the pot, I still gave it a little water. When it started warming up in spring, it started greening up on its branches and sprouting leaves. It's like, wow, it made it through that hard of a freeze. In a pot, above ground, in the wind, in the snow, and ice. It didn't kill it. So peach trees, they're hardy to the cold. Any hardy plants to the cold like that are going to help, but they only produce in the spring. They only bud during the spring unless you can trick it. Mason bees. I'm not sure about mason bees. Is that the standard honeybees? We had honeybees when I was growing up. We had 33 hives, and we extracted at least 1,000 pounds a year to sell, to eat and sell, to neighbors and health food stores in the neighborhood. In Canada, we deer, elk, caribou. Anything else? I have to grouse and partridge are good also. Yeah, we don't have a lot of partridge and stuff down in the heat of the south, I don't guess. We got a lot of dove. In some areas, out in the rural areas, might have a few pheasant. But man, we got a lot of squirrels. If you like squirrel, it's a lot of work for a little amount of meat, but it's chicken of the tree. There's a lot of them. You take one out in the area and here comes another one, move in within a few days. Squirrels are territorial. So you have one good family of squirrels that's strong to keep their area and keep the other squirrels out. They'll keep the other squirrels away. But if you harvest them, you're close to squirrels. A few days, a few more, they'll start coming back in the area and they'll nestle into the old squirrel's nest. Greasy like duck meat. Rodents are too small to survive off of. Well, they're small, but when you don't have anything else, it's a little something to tide you over. It's a snack. Sort of like your standard palm-sized fish, you need more of one. You can eat one. It'll help you get by. For half a day. But then, you're going to need more. I'm trying to read that. Some superfoods. It's forever. Squirrels have a lot up here. Have black ones here in Alberta. Yeah. Critters are too cute. Yeah. Some of them are cute. You want to feed them, but you keep them fed, keep them around. They'll be a good backup if you have to. If you have to and you have means to trap them, or if you got a little air rifle, or archery and maybe a bow or crossbow. It's harder with those, but if you have an air rifle set up that you can use your own compressor to compress air again with a rechargeable tank, on it. Some of those new, they're expensive, but new air rifles are good. I had a Sheridan air rifle that had to pump up 10 to 12 times or better for each shot, man. When I was a kid, I was 13, I put 23 squirrels with that air rifle in the freezer during one summer break, and learned how to clean them, and didn't like the way my mom cooked them that much. They were a lot of work, and we gave some to friends that like squirrel. But my mom tried to cook them, and I guess just didn't have a lot of experience with cooking them. Yeah, rodents, not so hard, but maybe a good mix. Maybe a 10% rodent, rest fish if you can get them. If you have a big enough supply of fish. These rivers here, man, they got fish. They get eaten on by other fish, a lot. And there's enough in the streams, when they spawn and make eggs and hatch eggs, thousands and thousands of eggs, and whatever those survive to grow is good. But there's lakes here along the river chain in central Texas with the lower Colorado River and the other rivers that feed into it that are good places to be able to go fish, because those fish will make their ways around the lakes and sort of travel around every day at a certain time. It's almost like clockwork within an hour window. And the white bass or the crappie or this, they all run in schools, and you can get a few off of them at a time. So it's always good if you're having to hang out or stake out in one place. Buckwheat, spurring out. Let's see, whole wheat, ancients. Yeah. As far as the protein, it's one thing about these survival foods, man. They don't make a good variety or enough variety of, what do you call it? Proteins. Good proteins. There's a lot of starches from the noodles, the rice, and then some of the types of vegetables, all the ground dried instant potatoes and stuff. I'm diabetic. I can't eat most of that stuff. I gotta have more non-starchy vegetables, and then also proteins, mainly proteins. So a lot of the grains I can't do, but other people can. It's good calories that way, but I just can't eat that much of it, otherwise it jacks my blood sugar. I just don't put out as much natural insulin as I used to. See, bottom line is if you're in a survival situation, fishing, they get start to freeze. Well, I'm talking about if you can microfarm. Rabbits are a good one because they multiply pretty fast, reproduce fast, and then pigs, if you can have pigs, they can reproduce fast as long as you can keep them maintained, enclosed, not let them get out, out from the farm, because then they go wild and feral and get away from you. Isn't that what happened to the Spaniards when they brought them over? Some of their pigs got away after farmers and other farmers of pig farms. Yeah, a messy business with them too. But cattle was the best free range back in the day, and of course they had to survive on fish from streams and ponds and lakes and places, as well as whatever they could grow. That and some of their beef if they had to, that they raised. And a deer here and there, because they had, on their property, had that. And then, of course, Had to protect from the wolf, some of the coyotes. I've been out with my father and our passed away minister, and my older brother. Went down, my dad and my brother set up at the end of a creek ravine, dry ravine that was like 12 foot deep almost. And the minister he was walking. It was going to be about 350 yards he was walking. And he was only halfway down the ravine to house the hunters at the end to run the deer towards my brother and my dad. And it was, 3 deer and a coyote. And the coyote was running them first, doing the same thing. My dad and my older brother probably scared off the house the hunters and became the hunters. The coyotes probably stayed away while the other coyote was doing the same thing. And so they were able to get 2 of the deer and the coyote. And those coyotes, they'll go after the deer, and you gotta watch that. They'll maim deer too, or injure, because they don't complete a job. Deer gets away, but it's hurt, and it's sad. So sometimes that, and they'll get after your pets too. Elephants giving birth, whatever. Yeah, I watched a giant 300 plus pound pig breed at a farmer's place. Yeah, had to go put it in for dude because they are huge. Had to put it in for dude because they are huge. Not sure what you're meaning by dude. Okay. Or put it in for something because they're huge. Yeah. I remember we had, out at my parents' place, we made a trap. Some of the people there baited it out that stay out at the same ranch, and we gotten 3 right about 300 pound apiece pigs. And they say whoever wants to come out and help, get a portion of it, as far as butchering, cleaning, butchering. So I helped, and I was able to get some to take home too. And they were just going, most of them were just going to throw all in the, in for sausage meat to be ground up with the rest. So I asked for the loin, good pork chop areas too. And so I got some of that, and it cooked up well. But it's not like a standard ham, because it hadn't been cured that way. It's just going to be pork that you cook, and you got to cook it well through. Feral pig, they haven't had inoculations against different stuff, to keep parasites out. So you got to really cook it in a way that's well done. Maybe stew. Let the meats break down, because it's not marbled with fat that much. They forage a lot, so they don't burn off they burn off more fat than a farm-raised pig. And so, just a heads up. Cook it well. I know you don't like everything well done, but if you can well do it, if you can velvet some of the meat, and then you can stir fry some of it to make sure it's, cooked all the way through well. But by stir frying after velveting, it should help tenderize the meat a little bit for the cook on the meat. And velveting meaning with the soy sauce and other stuff you let set to marinate, and it sort of eats in. The process is good. As my wife, she really knows all the cooking instruction proper. Baking soda and brining. Yeah, brining is a friend. Brine, salt brine. Your meat brine, yeah. Baking soda is one thing, but salt. And the salt will take out the bacteria. It also helps to make it not as gamey tasting. So that's why I like to do is salt brine my major cuts a piece for at least 3 days on ice with a lot of salt. And that kills a lot of bacteria and other things that might make a fresh caught meat tastes gamey. B vitamins. Alright. And believe me, I like a lot of milk, so I get plenty of D right now. But later, when there's not milk to be had, of course, my sister-in-law, she's looking to sell a few goats. She was breeding goats and milking goats and making her own milk to sell, goat milk and goat cheese. So she is making that. And she just only could sell to friends she knew at that point. She's not a farm for that or licensed, and it's not pasteurized and processed to sell to stores, but for their own consumption, she knew what to do. That's one thing I haven't learned, but my nephew and my niece and my older brother, they know. Let's see. Yeah, Casper, true. Well, if you don't have your start on extra water and food, non-perishables, at least for 1 week to 3 months, you always got to start somewhere. So I like to buy two rule. Go to the store, buy two of what you're replacing, that what you ate that's in your cabinet that's a non-perishable, and stuff you like to eat or know you can eat. And then next time you go to the store and you've probably eaten one container of something, instead of replacing it with just one, again, buy another two until you have the depth of pantry that you want. I mean, that's a simple, low budget way to do it. But if you want really long-term storage food, you're gonna have to go to freeze-dried. Because with proper packaging, freeze-dried products can, meat products and other stuff you freeze-dry. I'm not talking about just dehydrated, I'm talking about freeze-drying, can last up to 25 years. So freeze-dry wholesale, that same owner of that company makes the MREs for U.S. military, as well as the main stuff, freeze-dried products, this package, to go to embassies and other government long-term storage. So that they have food for, I don't know, the upper government executive world, the ones that are allowed into the bunkers that the government has and that sort of thing. They stock it with freeze-dried food, and they rotate as they need to. But freeze-dry wholesale is their main supplier, and they have some unique products. A lot of people are buying right now, so some of their products may be sold out at the moment because they couldn't keep up with demand, but they make a lot of food. And they do the freeze-dried cooked or raw, so you can cook it yourself. So you can just reheat with steam, or you can reheat and cook. Constitute and cook. And so they have a lot of product that's freeze-dried on the proteins in that you can add with your other survival food that's either freeze-dried or dehydrated for 10 to 25 year shelf life, but it's all the starches. But if you need the proteins, freeze-dry wholesale does a lot of them. Yeah, they are high dollar, Casper. Discount grocery store, grocery outlets, gain in bulk store, and inside trash can, galvanized. Yep. See, assured, standard on eBay, and place to look. Yeah, and watch out for those out-of-date MREs, man. Had some friends that had some of them that their product went rancid in about 3 years. When they're supposed to last 5, some last a little bit longer, but you don't want to take your chances on that. That should be your a little bit more short-term disaster preparedness meals, because you're still not going to eat them until that disaster happens, maybe a week to month disaster, like a bad weather element or something. Then you can eat them, but you just need to rotate those, based on their dates. Most of the stuff's just dehydrated and vacuum sealed, and only is good up to 5 years, where the freeze-dried and proper packaging up to 25 years. So make sure you have which products you're going to keep to eat at what point, and how long they'll last in storage when we don't have disaster. Because you'll still need to rotate some of your product with fresh inventory if the old stuff is getting too old. And that, if you have a pig farm, boom, you got feed for them. You can feed them some of the old stuff, man. Pig stomachs are freaking cast iron. If they like it. If they don't turn their nose up at it. But you know, they eat a lot of slop. Let's see. Hello, Barn. Yeah, I'm here in the Central Texas area, Austin, Texas. Let's see. And filled my dad with goo. I don't know what that means. What did you do? Let's see. Minute per. Okay. Not sure where exactly that is, but I'm in Texas, United States. Let's see. I'm 52 level of food storage do I need? Well, Casper, I don't know your eating habits and what you desire to be able to eat and how little you can actually survive on. So I'm not sure if you tried that or a basic simple diet that can be from foods that you can stay healthy on, yet not have to eat too much of. I don't know what foods your palate is, you know, more endearing to. Let's see. Expired food can last a long time. Yeah, if it's canned. Some of the canned stuff can last a long time. Some of the, it's just like some of them say maybe they're good for about, best sold by in 6 or 8 months. Yeah, they might be good for 1 to 3 years. But if it's packaged and made to last, supposedly they say 4 or 5 years, I'd say at 3 or 4 years, check 1 or 2 out, and the rest of your storage, you know, if one of those is bad, go ahead and DX the whole bit. And then, but you should start buying your fresher product at that time, because you don't want to have where you have 4 years, here comes a disaster, and then your 5-year length of storage is 4 years old already, and some starting to go bad, some not, and you don't have all you need. You need to replace with some, you know. Same thing could go for some of that 25-year-old product. They say 25 years, I'd probably put 20 on it if the packaging stays intact. You know, would be a good turnover leaf, you know, to fresh it. Start eating that, which is good, and then replace it with fresh on the freeze dried. You know, use some of that product. You know, try to use it before it goes bad so you don't waste it. You don't want to waste that high dollar stuff. Still need to use it. Don't want to throw money away. It's either that or you use it for slop for other animals that you're raising to be able to live off of, if they'll eat it. Let's see how much you need. Stock up. Well, I only have enough for maybe 3 months right now, if that. So, you know, I do want to have a longer term storage, but I need to make more room. I just haven't had time to get to some of the other spaces, like the front bedroom, to use as more of a storage pantry that I've been using as a little workshop for a while. Now I haven't been using it so much. So, yeah, I need to clean out some of my old stuff and get organized. I really need to do that. But if you can survive for 6 months to a year, that would be good. If you're bugging in and you don't have to carry all that stuff somewhere. Otherwise, you're going to have to learn to live off the land. That's the big thing, being able to fish, being able to hunt, and you really don't want something so big that you can't process and eat it all before some of it goes spoiled. If you're bugging out and living off the land and pitching a tent back in the trees where no one can see you, I mean, you're going to have to live at a small meal at a time. That's where fish here and there is handy. It doesn't sit heavy, but that or a small pig, if you can get it. Besides, you like your baby back ribs, right? Some people not being so nice, are they? Let's see here. Guys, I gotta go anyway. It's time for me to go online and see who needs a ride on Uber. Gotta save some of those people needing to get to work and their car broke down or this or that. I get a lot of those people. They call for an Uber. Well, you guys have a great rest of your night or morning, and look forward to seeing you on the next live. Just remember, how's it go? See your plan, prepare, peace of mind. That's it. Plan, prepare, peace of mind. You guys have a good one now. Simple Prepper out.